Heartbreak sucks. There really is no easy way or delicate way to float around the subject. It hurts. It's terrible. And I bet you remember the first time that your heart was broken. I bet you remember how it felt, how it hurt and ached all the way down to your core. I remember the first time that my heart was shattered into a million pieces, or so it felt like. I remember questioning whether commitment and investment was even worth it if this is how you could feel on the other side. I remember so much doubt and so much fear just filling my whole body, my spirit. And I remember being almost unable to shake that feeling. And I remember above all questioning God. Why would God let something like this happen to me? Why would the God that I love, the God that I praise, and the God that I know loves me allow me to hurt so very badly? On the surface, it just doesn't quite make sense. But there is one universal thing, and that's heartbreak. We all experience it. But how do we recover? That's the $10 million question. If you stick around, maybe we'll come to the answer. Step 1, embrace reality. This is your new reality. The pain that you're feeling, the heartbreak, the disappointment, the despair, it is the reality for this moment. You have to embrace it. You have to have an awareness of what you're feeling. And don't shy away from what you're feeling. Experience what you're feeling. I know that seems hard, and it is hard. It's incredibly hard to experience those negative emotions and work your way through them. But we have to acknowledge where we are before we can ever move past that place. Before we can ever get to where we want to go, we have to stand tall right where we are. And to be in that place, we have to acknowledge those emotions. We have to acknowledge them without judgment. We have to stand strong and explore those emotions in the depth that they bring, experience and navigate all that they are so that you can take the next steps necessary to move beyond. Step 2, reflect. It's incredibly important that we both experience those emotions that we're in right now, that we embrace reality, but also that we reflect and analyze those emotions, that we fully experience them and grow to a deeper understanding of what's going on within us. You know, whenever we feel pain, our instinct is to pull back, right? Whenever you touch a hot stove, the instinct is to immediately remove your hand. And we run away from pain. It's just who we are. Nobody wants to feel down. Nobody wants to experience heartbreak in this life. And so when we do experience it, we run as far away from that emotion. We don't embrace it. We don't allow ourselves to fully experience it. We most certainly don't reflect on what it means for us. We don't go on that internal journey. But you have to reflect. You have to go on the journey of understanding how you got here. It's the only way that we find ourselves in a new place. It's the only way that we find ourselves not in this same place again. And it's in this place that we find resiliency. It's in this place that we find our own internal strength. And my friend, whatever you've experienced, I promise that you do have an internal strength, but you have to reflect in order to find it. Step 3, nurture. Now, we don't think about nurturing ourselves, but in order to recover from this heartbreak that we've experienced, in order to recover from the shattering of one's soul, you have to nurture and heal yourself. And in order to heal yourself, you need to be in a place of healing. You need to be in a place where you're safe, where you can surround yourself with God's compassion. And that means carving out a place within that God can dwell, that you can begin that healing process. And in order to be in that place, you had to find some compassion for yourself. You know, when we experience heartbreak or loss, one of the first places that we go is blaming. And we blame everyone else, and ultimately find ourselves blaming ourselves. Why was I vulnerable? Why did I open myself up? Why did I allow myself to be hurt? But friends, vulnerability is the most important thing in our lives. It's what allows us to create community. It's what allows us to create relationships. And friends, God didn't create us to walk through this life alone. God created us to be partnered. God created us to live in community and form relationships. And in order to live in that world, we have to be vulnerable. We have to make connections. We have to open ourselves up and experience the totality of the human experience with emotions, both good and bad. And so you have to have grace and compassion for yourself. And you have to create that nurturing zone where you can begin the healing process, where you can allow God to cover you and love you and begin to repair that spirit. And when you allow yourself to live in that place, to truly dwell in the arms of God, hopelessness transforms into hope, and the darkness makes way for light. Step 4, rebuilding and reinvention. Now's the time where you reform yourself, where you are recreated in the image of God. Imagine a blank canvas that lay before you. What do you want that life to look like? Who do you want to be on the other side of this heartbreak? This is your time. All that pain that you've experienced, all that despair that you felt, all the questions and doubt that you've had, it's your opportunity to use it as fuel to propel you forward. Not just to limp your way out of this experience, but to come out of the experience running, that you might become a more resilient version of yourself, that all that you've experienced might give you more confidence in all that you're able to handle, that you might recognize that when you put the broken pieces of yourself back together, you've created a stronger version of yourself. One that was able to endure the hardships of this life, the challenges that were thrust upon you, and emerge a better version of yourself. And in this rebuilding process, that you might truly come to understand that God is painting a beautiful canvas of your life. And you're experiencing it all firsthand. And that the painting that's being painted is truly magnificent. That you, my friend, are truly magnificent and wonderful in every way. And every setback emerges as a beautiful valley for the mountaintop that lays in front of you. And every setback becomes this beautiful valley for the mountain peak that lies in front of you. One that has views for miles and miles. And your journey in this life has become this beautiful tapestry, this beautiful canvas, with every stroke being beautiful. And most importantly, that you might emerge from this experience with a stronger spirit, rebuilt, restored, and renewed. And step number 5, embrace the future. Friends, the future is coming whether you're ready for it or not. Why don't you embrace it? Why don't you embrace it with hope and optimism, trusting, leaning on your faith, on the idea that God is going to walk with you through both the valleys of this life, but also stand with you at the mountaintop. And though you may have experienced this valley, you didn't do it alone, not by any stretch of the imagination. And you will be shepherded into hope. You will be shepherded into new love and new opportunity. You will be gently guided on this journey of life. And that you might step into tomorrow with new strength, with these new lessons that were learned, and a new love in your heart, a love for yourself, a strength that was gained through experience, through embracing the hardship that you had to overcome, through acknowledging the pain that you were feeling, and still choosing to step forward, even though it's scary, even though it's unknown, even though you might get hurt again. And that vulnerability, that trust that God holds you and that there is something better on the other side. That is what propels you into the future. That is what propels you into new opportunities. And most of all, that's what propels you towards a truly content heart. Friends, I can't promise you that your heart isn't going to get broken in this life. Some would say that your life doesn't really begin until your heart is broken. But here's what I can promise you, that when you encounter the struggles of this life, when you truly hit that brick in the road and your heart is shattered into a million pieces, your journey isn't over. In many ways, your journey has just begun. But if you're willing to lean on God, if you're willing to allow yourself to embrace the emotions and the hardship, if you're willing to truly dig deep and allow something good to come from something that feels so awful, then I promise you're going to be better on the other side. Your life is not defined by this one moment, this one feeling that you're experienced. It's defined by the full spectrum of your experience on this earth. And this feeling is just a moment suspended in time. And on the other side is much joy, much love. And God, I believe in you. And you should start believing in you too. My friend, I'm looking forward to meeting the new version of you. Until next time.
These are your thoughts.